What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. Afam the Nose here. So I got a lot of feedback from you guys and I've listened and I'm going to give the people what the people want. And I get it, everybody likes to smell good, but let's face it, nobody wants to spend way more than they should. And I actually agree with the consensus. Not everybody wants to spend that kind of money on fragrances. So today what I'm going to do is introduce you to 5 affordable alternatives to those luxurious fragrances that everybody knows and loves. I guarantee you haven't heard of any of these alternatives. Maybe one of them, because one of them is very popular, but the rest of them, they're all sleepers. Now, these alternatives have all been handpicked by me and I can vouch that these are legit and they smell like money. All right, that being said, let's get right into it. All right, we're starting with a modern icon, Tom Ford Oud Wood. Let's see if this focuses. Now, we all know Tom Ford Oud Wood. This is a beautifully balanced blend of smoky woods, spices, and just quiet sophistication. And this is a work of art. This is one of my favorite fragrances and it's very masculine, very sophisticated. It's very present and bold and is part of the Tom Ford private blend fragrances. And all of the fragrances in that private blend retail at a very expensive amount. And this one is no different. It retails for around $300. Now, if you don't want to shell out that crazy amount, I have a cheaper alternative for you. And the alternative is Ellwood from the house of Rayhaan. So this retails for around $27. And while it's not a one-for-one comparison to Oud Wood, I would say it still captures that bold sophistication and elegance that Oud Wood exudes. So Ellwood is everything that Oud Wood is and also adds this very green presence and almost foresty note that sort of reminds you of being in the woods. And it's very fitting for its name. I love the character of this fragrance. And for $27, this is an absolute steal. And on the dry down, you get that smooth, resinous base, the signature warmth and the slightly mysterious edge that Tom Ford Oud Wood exudes. And in addition, this adds those green notes that wraps it all up and creates a parallel, not a one-for-one. So if you like the character of Oud Wood and you can't afford that $300 retail price, I would say Ellwood pour Homme from the house of Rayhaan will definitely do. All right, next up we have Creed Aventus. This needs no introduction. Very masculine, very popular. It's bold, pineapple, smoky, birch, very, very masculine scents. So as a result of the popularity of Creed, a lot of fragrance houses have now cloned this same specific DNA. And one of the houses that has created a fragrance where the DNA gets the best approximation to Creed and can even replace Creed is Homme, Club de Nuit, Intense Man. Now, is it as smooth? No, but $40 versus $500, you do the math. And nobody's going to be able to tell the difference. You're going to smell like absolute luxury while only spending $40. This one has a better performance than the newer batches of Creed Aventus. Absolutely hard to beat. This is a very, very good alternative to Creed Aventus. All right, next up we have Le Male Elixir by Jean-Paul Gaultier. There was a period in my life where all I wore was Jean-Paul Gaultier. In my 20s, it was all about Ultramale. And then I moved on to Le Male Parfum and now Elixir. For the longest time, this was my signature scent for cool weather and date nights. I'm going to spray. This is tobacco, honey, tonka bean, vanilla, lavender, mint, benzoin just mixed together and it's so sexy and edible. When you talk about gourmand, this is the definition of gourmand. In the Oxford Dictionary or Webster Dictionary, they should just have a picture of this where it says gourmand. Only problem is it's going to run you around $150. But I got you covered. The alternative I'm going to show you, I've already featured that house earlier in this video, but this house is really, really good. As a matter of fact, I might have a couple more from this house that are absolute perfect approximations to these luxury fragrances that we're talking about. But for Le Male Elixir, this one, Rayhaan Elixir. There we go. Okay. Now this to me is actual one-to-one for Le Male Elixir. The only difference here is at the top you get some citrus, just a tiny bit of citrus, and then everything else is absolutely the same as Le Male Elixir. So you get the tonka bean, you get the amber, you get the vanilla, you get the lavender, you get the mint. And all those notes combined together make for a very, very gourmand, delicious, edible, sexy fragrance. How much you ask? $27. And I don't know how Rayhaan has done it for only $27, but they have. Performance is good, longevity is good, it exudes outwards, so it projects out. It leaves a wake behind you as you walk, and that gourmand scent is just so sexy and inviting. So if you don't want to shell out the $150, $180 retail for this, I would go for this, $27. So next up we have Greenley from the House of Parfums de Mali. The way I like to describe this is green apple on steroids. So Greenley is citruses, apple, woods, and musk. It's such a fresh green scent that reminds you of a crisp spring morning. The problem is it's going to run you about $300. But relax, I got you. I have the perfect alternative to this. This is Aether by French Avenue. Let's see if this will focus for me. Come on, focus. There we go. Now, this to me is a one-to-one for Greenley. Everything I described about Greenley, this has it. And this will only run you about $40 compared to $300. Once again, it's Aether from French Avenue. All right, I saved this one for last because this one is exactly one-for-one to the original. I don't even have a bottle of the original because when I smelled this, I thought, why get the original? And I'm talking about Oud for Glory from the House of Latafa. Let's see, can you see? I think I only paid around $30 for this, which surprises me because it smells very high quality. So if you're not familiar, I'll describe this as dark, mysterious, and almost incensey. It's saffron, oud, nutmeg, some lavender, and musk. You also get patchouli on the dry down. So I don't think I mentioned this yet, but this is inspired by Oud for Greatness by Initio Parfums. And when I smelled Oud for Greatness the first time, I fell in love with it. And I started thinking about saving up money to go buy it. But then I came across Oud for Glory and I bought this and I just didn't look back because it serves the same purpose. You get that warm, fresh, spicy oud, patchouli, earthy, leathery type feel from this, and it's the exact same vibes that Oud for Greatness gives out. So I thought to myself, why get that when I already have this? And again, big ups to Latafa. I have no idea how they're doing it. Their ingredients are super high quality and it smells exactly like Oud for Greatness. And so if you're looking for a cheap alternative to Oud for Greatness, Oud for Glory is what you should get. All right, so I know the title says 5 alternatives, but I have a bonus one I want to talk about. Now, I was debating if I should add this or not because I've already talked about this house in this video. But I have every single fragrance from this house and the quality is excellent. I am impressed by what they do for so cheap. So I really feel like I need to add this to this list. First, let me introduce the original. So what I was going to talk about is Eau d'Ombre Leather by Tom Ford. There we go. To you French speakers out there, you see that accent on the E? It's not Eau d'Ombre, it's Eau d'Ombre. Tom Ford did this on purpose to mess with you. Anyways, so those not familiar with Eau d'Ombre leather is pretty much ombre leather, but with vanilla added to it. So off the top, you're getting cardamom, ginger, somewhat nutty notes. And then in the middle, you're getting that vanilla and leather. To me, it's just such a beautiful, warm, spicy, vanilla, leathery, somewhat sweet and animalic fragrance. So all those notes I've mentioned just work together to create these beautiful accords that just exude seduction, classy, sophisticated gentleman. I've said all this, now you've fallen in love with this fragrance, but it costs upwards of $200. Instead, go pick this up. Rayhaan Corium. Now, Corium gives up the same vibes, but I wouldn't say it's a one-for-one. Now, it's the exact same notes, only lots of spices at top. When you get past those spices, you now hit the vanilla and the leather and the oud and the dry down. And again, you can get this for $27, under $30 on Rayhaan's website. And no, Rayhaan is not paying me for any of this. I just really appreciate what they've done for so cheap. So if you like the vibes of Eau d'Ombre leather, you're really going to love this. All right, that concludes this video. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me out a lot. And with that, thank you once again. I'll see you in the next one. Oos.